What's up, Ravens fans? Welcome into a fresh edition of Ravens Unscripted. Hopefully you've come down off a celebration Sunday night that I know was special for this fan base and for this organization. We're going to try to sort through what was a really exciting and electric game and also point our attention towards the Bengals. On the couch, we got Garrett Downing and Cliff Brown of Ravens Media, and back for, this is the third time?
It is.
Luke Jones, it's only week 10, man. You must be doing something right. And we'll start with 4 downs. First down, Garrett Downing. What did this win against the New England Patriots prove to you about this team?
I mean, it proves to me that the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL and they can beat any team on any game over the course of the season. When you look at it, I think the Ravens have probably the 2 best wins of any team combined on the schedule this year in the NFL. They go to Seattle, beat them, then they come home and they beat the undefeated New England Patriots in a primetime atmosphere. I just look at this game and I think that this was a statement to the entire league about what the Ravens can do with Lamar Jackson as their quarterback. And I think that he obviously put himself firmly in that conversation of MVP, which I know we'll spend time talking about. But I just think as a whole, everyone kind of took notice. I think there were people that were sort of hedging their bets on the Ravens, saying, should I invest? Should I buy in? I'm not sure. Can they beat the Patriots? Can they do this? And it was a commanding victory. And I think that the doubters, the ones that are left, are becoming few and far between.
Yeah, I think it proved that their defense is definitely on the upswing. I mean, you look at where the team was defensively after week 4, giving up back-to-back 500-yard games. It's like, are they going to get this fixed? Now against Tom Brady, no huddle offense, with some change in personnel, with guys playing better, with them collectively, really feeling like they know what they're doing, and you see the mistakes to a minimum. We've seen them create turnovers. Now getting Jimmy Smith back, getting Peanut back, getting Marcus Peters in a trade. Now the Ravens, not only are they 6-2 to me, defensively, they have a chance to be what we're used to seeing from them defensively the rest of the way. So that, to me, this was a big test for their defense, as was Seattle, and they passed both with flying colors.
We're no longer talking about winning the AFC North. I think the Ravens have proven they're in control there. Cleveland's done. Pittsburgh, I think, has rallied, but I'm not sure they're going to go on that kind of run. The Ravens are the number 2 seed in the AFC right now. No team has made the Super Bowl without having a first-round bye since the Ravens back in 2012, which tells you how difficult that is. Why not aim for the number 2 seed? Or how about the number 1 seed, depending on what happens with New England?
You're getting greedy.
But, hey, they can say one game at a time. We can look ahead, and I think the landscape of the AFC has changed, and the Ravens are absolutely right there with New England. Throw Kansas City in there if you want, but a legitimate Super Bowl contender here in Baltimore.
All right, second down. It's the Lamar segment. We're still waiting on a sponsor. Each week, Lamar Jackson gives us something to talk about. And Cliff, for me, this game, beyond the numbers and what he did, was how's he going to do against a Bill Belichick coach defense that often takes away what a team wants to do, and he was still really effective.
Yeah, we saw that, and definitely, yes, we know. I think the Patriots played a pretty good defensive game, believe it or not. The game plan was sound. They definitely made it difficult at times for Lamar to do some of the things he wants to do. But he is just a special player, and beyond him, now I think with the weapons, we talked about Mark Ingram and some of the other Hollywood coming back, the tight ends, they have enough around Lamar where if you just focus on him, as all teams try to do, the Ravens have plan B, plan C, and a great player who is plan A. So, yes, he passed the Belichick test. If they beat the Patriots again down the road, the Patriots can't feel like, oh, we can stop this guy. I mean, the Ravens had 37 points. That's not going to get it done. So, yeah, definitely another A in the education of Lamar Jackson.
Very few young quarterbacks in this league are capable of both making plays and taking care of the football. Baker Mayfield last year played really well, threw a lot of interceptions in the process of doing that. Lamar continues to make those highlight plays. 5 turnovers all year for him, which we talked about the fumbles a lot last year. He hasn't lost a single fumble here in 2019.
Third down, and Garrett, Cliff touched on this, the play of the defense in this game, facing Tom Brady. It's a New England offense that's still figuring themselves out, but what did you see from the unit, and does it give you a sense of maybe what the ceiling for this defense can be as we sit here at the midpoint of the season, at least for the Ravens.
I think you have to be encouraged by the play of the defense, not just this game, but the past few weeks. They've really solidified things. Josh Bynes has brought a calm to the middle of the defense as he's stepped in there. You get help in the secondary with the addition of Marcus Peters and and getting Jimmy Smith back into the lineup. Also, I thought the pass rush came to life a little bit in this game. Matthew Judon got 4 quarterback hits. They had some good timed blitzes, some well-timed blitzes. Peanut got to Brady. So I think that the defense is on the right track. They're on an upward trajectory. And that, the offense is playing great already. It's one of the best offenses in the league. Now the defense is catching up. And with these two things moving in the right direction, that's part of the reason why I feel like this could be a scary good Ravens team.
Yeah, I think the defense has steadily improved. We talked so much after the Kansas City and Cleveland game. It was crisis mode. They were a bottom 5 defense through the first month of the season, but they've gotten better. We've talked about in recent weeks slowing that heartbeat, down-to-down consistency. They're more disciplined. Do I think this defense is going to be as good as last year? Probably not. But I think
last year was the best defense in the league.
Exactly,
right?
But can it be top 12, somewhere in that neighborhood, with the top 5 offense? That's a pretty good combination come January.
4th down, Cliff, I don't know if you have a definition for trap game, but I would call this a trap game. You obviously just beat the New England Patriots on Sunday night. The whole world was watching. You have a game on the horizon against Deshaun Watson and the Texans, and the winless Bengals are waiting at home. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's a potential trap game, but I've heard Coach Harbaugh a couple times this year say, I'm not worried about this team reacting in certain spots like this. So this is another test for that. Sure, if you look at the Bengals' record, you could con yourself into thinking like, well, we can just show up and win. But yeah, I think with A.J. Green potentially coming back, quarterback you know nothing about, if the game is close in the second half, the Bengals are going to be desperate to win. You cannot take any team in the NFL lightly. We've seen it how many times? If you haven't seen it by now to know that, then you kind of deserve what you get. I do feel the Ravens have big goals in mind and are focused enough not to take this team lightly, but this is the type of situation that it will show how focused they are as they continue to try and make a run towards the playoffs.
If you didn't get a big enough reminder playing in Baltimore against the Bengals a few weeks ago, and that was a 1-score game, even though the Ravens dominated that statistically, you'd like to think that lesson was heard loud and clear at that point, that you're not going to take the Bengals lightly.
John Harbaugh's setting the tone. He's saying we need to play our best game this week. He's saying it doesn't matter. Beating the Patriots means nothing if you don't beat the Bengals on Sunday. So he set the tone for that, and I truly believe that the guys are going to take, they're going to take that to heart, and I don't think it's going to be a letdown.
Yeah, human nature, though, can be a challenge. Quickly, predictions, Cliff, in this game.
Well, I think that what you're going to see, the running game, I think I have a lot of confidence in with the Ravens being able to move the football against the Bengals, regardless of what the quarterback does, and if they get a spark from A.J. Green, I say Ravens victory, maybe something like 24-13.
Lamar Jackson goes over 100 rushing yards again against the Bengals. They still can't stop him.
I just think the Ravens take care of business in this game. I know that the players and the coaches are focused on not having that letdown mentality. I think this is a business-like win for the Ravens.
Off and running here on Ravens Unscripted. Coming up next, we dive into social media with Retweet or Delete. Welcome back. Time for an old staple here on Ravens Unscripted. It's Retweet or Delete. Big tweets up here on the big screen, and the guys are going to let us know if they endorse it with the little birdie or they disagree with the delete. All right, first tweet from some Yahoo who works for the Ravens. Garrett Downing, the one and only. Marlon Humphrey's 2019 season, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 touchdowns, big plays in huge games, lockdown coverage every week. He should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations, not just getting Pro Bowl buzz. So are we retweeting or deleting this from our friend Garrett? Okay, that's obvious. That's supporting a coworker. And that's my man disagreeing with Garrett.
Sorry, Garrett. It's all right. It's all right.
Well, I just think it's really difficult to do this every week, especially a position like cornerback.
You're talking about Garrett's job?
Well, that too, but I think it's so difficult to differentiate between the top 5 or 6 corners in the league, and I think Marlon Humphrey is absolutely in that group, but I'll throw this out there. One cornerback in the last 25 years, Charles Woodson in 2009, has won Defensive Player of the Year, and I look at those numbers. He's not leading the NFL in interceptions. He's not leading the league in pass breakups. I think he absolutely is a Pro Bowl cornerback this year, and it'll be a crime if he isn't, but I don't quite there for defensive player of the year.
Your quick rebuttal.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You look at the defensive player of the year conversation, it's wide open. You've got the Bosa brothers that are in there, Stephon Gilmore, the Patriots cornerback. I don't know if he's still in that conversation after Sunday. I mean, you have those guys, but there's no leading candidate. It's not like this year you have J.J. Watt who's running away with it. T.J. Watt's another guy who's in that mix. It's just a wide open field, and I think the Marlins having such a great season overall. And the biggest thing for me is big plays, key moments in key games, impactful plays like he had on Sunday with that scoop and score. So I think this thing starts by having buzz, and I just think he needs to be part of that conversation. Does he win it? Maybe it's unlikely for this year, but I think he should be in that conversation right now.
All right, let's keep some of this award talk going with a tweet from Warren Sharp. Legit thankful that Ozzie Newsome traded back into the first round to select Lamar Jackson so we can witness his potential, his full potential. I honestly don't think we see peak Lamar Jackson on any other team. Baltimore has changed everything to show us Lamar, and it's spectacular. So a lot of praise from the man behind the numbers, and across the board, we feel like this is the right call.
Yeah, I don't think this is really being talked about quite enough that the Ravens just didn't switch franchise quarterbacks. They switched their entire offense. They tailored everything they're doing towards his strengths, and they took a major risk doing that, in that obviously that opened up to the criticism of going against the grain of the entire NFL. And Lamar obviously is the key. His talent is the key, but I really don't think there are a lot of places where even if they had drafted Lamar Jackson, they would have gone all in so quickly that the way the Ravens have. So I definitely do agree with this premise that this was the right fit for him, the best fit, and that they deserve a lot of credit for giving him that type of support.
Luke?
Cliff, you just said it. I think the timing. Going through the pre-draft process, it was reported he got a lot of interest from the Patriots and the Saints, and those are two fantastic coaching staffs. But Tom Brady and Drew Brees are still the quarterbacks there. It's much easier to move on from a Joe Flacco or second or third tier type starting quarterbacks than guys who are among the greatest of all time. So I think Lamar Jackson could have been a Patriots great one day, or in New Orleans. That could have worked out really well with Sean Payton, but certainly wouldn't be doing what he is for the Ravens right now.
Yeah, it keeps being a story across the league. All right, final tweet, and it's two of them. Starting with the question to Peter King. Through 9 weeks of the NFL season, who is the best team you've seen so far? And the answer from the one and only Peter King, 1, San Francisco, 2, New Orleans, and then 3, this is a bit of a hedge.
It's
Not
high.
really, it's just a hedge. Baltimore/New England. So where do we come down on Peter King's power rankings here through 9 weeks? The lead across the board, is it specific, Garrett, to the fact that he has New England there with Baltimore?
It is the hedge. Those two teams certainly didn't look like the same level of team on Sunday when the Ravens won 37-20. I understand that the Patriots have the better record, but look, you can't disagree, I guess, with the top team. The 49ers are undefeated, but I think that third team for me, I put Baltimore over New England.
I don't know. New Orleans has done what they've done this year with Drew Brees missing most of the season.
Well, I'm saying over New England.
Yeah,
over New England. My
that's a
issue
good
is with New
follow-up,
England.
though. Would any of you guys put Baltimore above New Orleans or San Francisco? I'm pretty confident I know how you feel about New England.
I think the overall quality in the NFC is just better than the AFC, although the Ravens certainly have improved the profile there in the AFC. But I'm okay with those two teams, although I could hear an argument for flipping New Orleans and San Francisco because of what I said.
Yeah, well, what I love about this, too, is that also we're going to get to see Baltimore play San Francisco. We've already seen them play Seattle. We've seen them play New England. So we've seen them play Kansas City. So to me, people who are skeptical of the Ravens, when there aren't many people now, it seems like there's less and less every week, you're really getting an idea, I think, of how good the Ravens can be, because when they go up against these top teams, they're either holding their own or winning them. So, yes, I mean, this is going to change a lot by December, I think, because that just seems to be the way it is. There's always a couple teams that seem to peak too early, and there's always a team who's probably not on this list that's going to go on a run in December. But the good thing for the Ravens is I think they're going to be in the mix no matter how it all turns out.
Absolutely. Going to be tested a ton here over the next few weeks. That was a fun retweet or delete. The props are rolling. Yours is looking a little frayed, but we're all good. We'll bring it back at some point. More Unscripted coming up next. Unscripted rolls on here with Ravens Mailbag. Make sure to send your questions via Twitter using the hashtag Ravens Mailbag, and you may see them up here on the big screen. Our first question comes via Big Stat. Do you think that Harbaugh will continue to run the 3 tight end sets to exploit mismatches against linebackers with the 3 capable rushers on the ground, having 3 tight ends to block or get open in the middle of the field seems to be causing fits for opposing defenses? Cliff, a lot to sort through there. Make sense of it for me.
Yeah, I'll try and simplify it in that. Yes, I think you're obviously going to continue to see some 3 tight end sets. Obviously, you're really going to see, though, all these tight ends heavily involved in the Ravens offense because they're so good and so versatile. The kind of jump that Nick Boyle's made as a receiver, to me, puts him more in the mix of things that you can do with this offense. Obviously, he's a great blocker. Then you've got Hurst and Mark Andrews, 2 guys who are great receivers. The Ravens, with these tight ends, when they have Boyle on the field with Patrick Ricard, that's like 7 offensive linemen. When they put Hurst on the field with Mark, that's like having 2 extra wide receivers and Boyle as well. So their versatility, the way they can use their tight ends, is one of the keys to their offense. And yes, obviously, that will continue to be a big part of things.
All right, next question here. Ravens mailbag. As the second half of the season starts, should Justice Hill's role increase down the stretch, or is it still game-to-game situational ball from the Ravens, Garrett?
Not really. I still think that Mark Ingram's the lead dog in this running back group. And then Gus Edwards, I mean, if you were going to give the ball to anybody more and take it away from Mark Ingram, I think Gus Edwards would be the guy. I think he's come on strong. Look, Justice Hill has shown flashes. The Ravens have worked him in at times, some key situations. But I don't think that he's done enough to say, all right, we're going to take Mark Ingram off the field for 15 snaps to get Justice Hill the football.
All right, last up. Will we see more of Hollywood now that he's back and healthy, or is it what we saw from him against the Patriots as the expected snap total, Luke?
I think that's certainly the hope. I mean, he played 40 snaps on Sunday night, which is not a bad amount when you consider how much the Ravens rotate their wide receivers. Blocking is a big factor. That's why you see Willie Snead and Seth Roberts out there plenty. But John Harbaugh said earlier this week that he's not even close to being what they think he's going to be. Health is a big part of that, and I think it was good to see him involved early in Sunday night's game. I think that set a good tone, but I think as far as workload, probably the same, but yeah, you'd like to see maybe a little more consistent involvement over the full 60 minutes.
He's not close to his ceiling yet, but man, does he give this offense a jolt when he's out there on the field.
Absolutely.
I mean, it just adds so much having him, and he's a threat that the defense has to consider.
All right, great set of questions. Keep them coming using the hashtag Ravens Mailbag. Coming up on Unscripted, best of the rest. Stay with us. Welcome back into Unscripted. Such an electric atmosphere Sunday night that there's still some stuff we need to sort through. So the guys here have their best of the rest, if you will, some performances, some images worth discussing. Cliff, you're up first.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start with Mark Ingram. In a game where the Ravens did so many good things well, it was almost like his 100-yard day was almost overlooked. I know he had the fumble, which would be the one negative in his performance, but look at this run and other runs that he had during the game. Mark, he's like Jekyll and Hyde, and he's one of the nicest guys in the world, but on Sundays, man, he runs with anger, man. The first guy rarely brings him down.
Black Beauty looked good on him, too, right now with that visor, to your point.
Absolutely. And as you showed there, he's also an excellent receiver. He's an excellent blocker. He's been great, I think, for the other running backs in the room to have this veteran presence to look at. So he's just been, to me, a tremendous pickup, even better than people thought he was going to be in this offense. And he shows no sign of hitting any kind of wall. He's going to run through the wall. He looks great to me.
I mean, these plays show exactly why in the previous segment when we were talking about the running back rotation and whether you take him off the field, those plays are exactly why you don't take him off the field. He's having a great season. He's going to go over 1,000 rushing yards on the year. Give that guy the rock as much as you can.
Explosive. All right, Luke, we waited a while for this one.
5 years in the making.
Finally, Nick Boyle tastes the end zone. And he didn't disappoint, or maybe he did with this dance.
Well, dance aside, you have to feel good for Nick Boyle. I mean, you think how much that Ravens tight end room has changed from the time he arrived. Dennis Pitta, Crockett Gilmore. Max Williams was the guy drafted in the second round the year they took Nick Boyle on day 3. And he's an unheralded guy, arguably the best blocking tight end in the NFL. And hey, he's made plays. He's had some close calls, but he never struck pay dirt. So you had to feel good for him. And I think seeing his teammates
What about this dance?
Yeah, that dance, I don't know about that. But seeing his teammates, the enthusiasm, the excitement they had for him, that's a pretty special moment in a game as exciting as Sunday night's was.
Absolutely. If you only get there once, might as well make it count. All right, I love this one, Garrett, as you close out the show. The atmosphere. I use the word electric, but there's plenty of other superlatives that could probably describe what that night was like. You guys were there.
Yeah, it was incredible. Electric, I think, is a really good word. You know, the electricity at the beginning during introductions, they turned down the lights.
Yeah,
and the light show
was on point.
It was on point. It really did add something to the environment of that game after touchdowns, during introductions. When you talk with fans who went to this game and just anecdotally friends and family who were there, I think everybody's consensus is that this is the most fun and the best atmosphere they've seen at a Ravens game in years. Even in my experience, more so than last year's playoff game. This is just so much energy in this stadium, having a primetime game against the undefeated New England Patriots. There was this build up to it, and I think that everybody felt like this is a kind of a statement win on the field, but also for the fans and the game day experience. Just such an awesome atmosphere.
Not to mention, you had Hall of Famers in the building.
Yeah,
Ed Reed getting his Hall of Fame ring,
point.
Lenny Moore, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, Ozzie Newsome, of course. That's special. It makes me think back to the days of Johnny U coming to Ravens games in the early years. That was pretty special.
Yeah, I
Final thought on it.
I thought it was interesting in Coach Harbaugh, if he mentioned the lights after the game, that he noticed. You hear players talking about the atmosphere at home, and really the Ravens now, I think, have gotten back to where this is really a serious home field advantage that they have created with this whole atmosphere, which could play into down the stretch. They have some big home games coming up. Hopefully for them, they're going to have some playoff games at home. The more that you can make your house a difficult place for the opponents to come in and beat you, the better. And certainly the atmosphere, I think, at M&T has never been better than it is right now.
All right, Ravens fans, we'll catch your breath. The team's on the road, but be back in full force by week 11 with a visit from the Houston Texans. Guys, good to be with you. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the game, everybody, and we'll be right back here next week to break it all down on Unscripted.